Hello once again. I am starting my part 4 of my Pokemon Legends Arceus playthrough. For those who may be wondering, I'm not using my face cam today because honestly it makes it hard to read some of the text of the game when I've got the fursuit head on, so you get this little image of me in the corner instead. Gonna wait here a minute while we get we let some people trickle in. All right. So we have just crossed this bridge over here. I've been catching some Pokemon here and there. Um, not yesterday. Last week, we beat the Alpha Kricketune boss, and I made my way over to this half of the Obsidian Fieldlands. So, I'm just exploring, catching new Pokemon, and trying to fill out the Pokédex a little bit. So I have. Let's see. I'm surprised I haven't evolved a Bidoof up yet. But guess I haven't been using it too much. This Pokemon's ready to attack me. Stantler's like really got this aggressive stance right up until I throw a Pokemon out. Then it runs away. Hello there. I know nothing too exciting is going on at the moment. I don't remember where I was going. One of my goals today is going to be to catch one of the Pokemon that is really hard to get to spawn. And that is a Cherubi. They are only found in trees, but not just any tree can have one. I did check for one last week, and go ahead and speak to the professor so I can head back. Then I will be making my way to check the trees that can have cherubi in them. Fingers crossed it won't take too long, but no guarantees there. I can go rank up, so I'm probably going to do that. So in this game, as you rank up, you get access to more things. One of the important things is that you get better Pokeballs that you can use to have an easier chance at catching some Pokemon that are a little more difficult. Definitely ends up being worthwhile in the end to get better options there. And now I'm 2-star. Very exciting, I know. We are just early on in this game. Now I have access to Feather Balls, which have a lower chance of catching, but you can throw them much further. And now I can make super potions. Before I go anywhere else, let's see. Yes, I need to check to see if I have any big weasels. There's also a new mission over here. It is very handy to get the missions as early as you can. Sometimes you'll already have what you need to complete them before you even start. A lot of these early missions act as additional tutorial missions. So this one's teaching about orange berries and how you can use them, which already finished here. If I was a Pokemon, what type would I be? That's a good question. Let's see. I mean, there is some options that I definitely would like better than others. I feel like maybe a fire or electric type might be a good fit for me in that sense. Ooh. 5'8". I think the threshold was 5'9", but I could go check. Looks like 5'8" was it. Probably. Arcanine variant would be pretty cool. Alright. Look at them side by side. It's almost like the big one is the little one's older sibling. Look at how the tip of one snout points up to look up at us. What a precious little thing. And the big one's flotation sac. There's something reassuring about how large it is. Don't you think? Funny how Pokemon of the same species can seem so different depending on which one's bigger. Hello there, Draco. I hope you have a good night. Let's see. So when I pick a starter in, so when playing any Pokemon game, which start do you choose? So, I mean, it depends on the game, like what I'm doing with them, but I think I would typically go with what one I think looks the coolest. If I could have any Pokemon in real life, which one would I pick? Or, yeah, that's a tough one. I've got a lot of Pokemon that I'm pretty partial to. I have a tendency to be more in favor of Gen 1 and Gen 4. But, I mean, the ones that come to mind, honestly, are Weasel, like we're looking at here, or possibly an Arcanine. Arcanine is one of my favorites. But I think Weasel would be an adorable pet. Alright. Big Weasel, little Weasel complete. They're just so adorable. So I've got to wait till evening to do that task. Are there any other... No new ones. can do that one. I feel like if they merged Breath of the Wild with Pokemon, it would be a sweet game. You know, Pokemon might be heading more toward more open world games, so we might get something a little more like that. It'd be cool if we had some way of having the Pokemon interact with the world. A game where you could use like a grass type Pokemon to like climb a tree or cross a large gap, since a lot of them have vine capabilities. Stuff like that would be really fun. Let's see. Are you the one that was looking for pickling? Oh, you're looking for Starly. I had to run a daycare of 3 Pokemon. Who would I want them to be and why? A daycare. Huh. I don't know that one. So 3 Pokemon that I would choose to watch over? Well, I'd probably pick Arcanine. I feel like I'm picking such basic answers, but I feel like Eevee would kind of be a shoe-in. I'm also pretty partial to like Shinx, so I'm gonna pick that as the 3rd option. Okay, wait. Did I just pick up a quest that I could immediately solve and didn't? There we go. Let's do this one. The people of this world are just so afraid of Pokemon. What other missions do I have ready? I do appreciate that in this game you can pin what task it tells you the location of. Definitely helps when you've got a lot of locations that are very similar looking. Been with the sidetracked side quests. Let's make our way over, which, yes, this is technically faster. Now I can go here and go straight to the Heights camp. This is the first time I've been here since I got this second camp set up, but it definitely is worth it. You get to save a lot of time when you want to, get further away from the default starting location. Would you rather have to battle every time you walk past someone, or have a Pokemon theme follow you around everywhere you go? I choose the Pokemon theme. Or Pokemon. Yeah, Pokemon theme. I could get used to it. Plus, for as much as I love Pokemon, the battles are not 100% my strong suit. Would I rather have a Gengar that's always photobombing me, or a Mr. Mime that always tries to clean my home? I'd go for the Gengar. I feel like that's a safer choice. What level are you? 16. I'm not gonna bother with it yet. I think a Gengar photobombing would be kind of fun. But having a Pokemon try to clean my house all the time would probably make me not be able to find anything. I have a lot of things in places that I am happy with where they are. Just a Combi. As the new evil villain of the unreleased Pokemon game, what are your plans? Guess I should specify, are we talking about the game that has been announced, Pokemon Legends AZ, or are we talking about a different main series theoretical game? We're talking about Legends AZ. I imagine the goal would be limited. My own game. Okay. You know, one of the things that I found really thought-provoking was how in Pokemon Black and White, it wasn't exactly obvious what the evil team was doing that made them the bad guys at first. I would probably want to do something where the concept of what the evil team is after isn't exactly obviously bad. As for specifically, probably want it to be you know, it'd be kind of interesting to see an evil team that's ran by the Pokemon professor, where the research that you're doing is actually so that they can find out more information and potentially get rare Pokemon. I mean, usually your Pokemon storage has had some connections to the professor of the area. So if you maybe had a game where partway through you lose access to like your storage boxes, like you could still store Pokemon, but you couldn't change out your party until you took out the evil team. Maybe they would have you fight against oh, actually there's an idea. What if they had you basically go out and collect several legendary Pokemon, and then you're forced to have them out of your team, and they use those very legendary Pokemon on a team against you? I think that would be an interesting twist. Also give a difficult battle against a team that actually has good stats. Quite often we have an evil team that doesn't have much of a bite to their bark. Yeah, that's true. It wouldn't be too different from Team Rocket. I mean, to be fair, bringing Team Rocket back I don't think is an awful idea. They did it in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and I think that turned out pretty well. Although we didn't really know what they did to accomplish um, their goals. You just had all the different villainous team leaders that basically had been successful, but didn't hear much beyond that. I do think it was a little bit ironic that in the games where, or in the TV show, the seasons where Team Rocket was the most competent were also some of the seasons that people didn't really care for as much. Namely, Black and White, which I can understand those not being too favorable. They were some of my least favorite seasons as well. But I did appreciate Team Rocket actually being like a feasible threat in that series. Let's let me up here. There we go. Okay. I think the important thing about a Pokemon game is that you need to make sure that the focus is still on the Pokemon or how they interact with the world. There's a lot of ideas that would be fun for a game, but they don't all necessarily work within the Pokemon world. So I would be a little bit hesitant to play a game where you start off as Team Rocket. I just think that that would probably fit a better genre or its own genre completely a little bit better. But that's just my personal opinion. This person wants to see Zubat's eyes. Ready for disappointment. Yeah. Zubat not having eyes is often based off of the idea that bats are blind. We know that this is not actually the case, though. Bats use their vision when there is light. We've also noticed that if you actually look at slow motion video of the swarms of bats when they come out of caves, they do have a lot of mid-air collisions, which we didn't used to think that they did. We just sort of had this idea that since they had echolocation, they knew where everything was without seeing it. That's not quite how it works. I remember seeing a video where they were disproving that concept by having food on the other side of some clear plastic. And in the dark, the bat wouldn't go after it because it was using its echolocation. But in the light, we didn't have... Or in the light, we saw that they would actually just collide with the plastic because they weren't using their echolocation, they were just looking. Let's see, what was that? That one. Is that not? Huh. I thought this would have been triggered, but I guess not. Pokemon Trivial Pursuit. I'd be surprised if there isn't some version of that. I think it would be pretty fun to host a trivia game. That might be something I'd look into. The real question is, would it be fair for me to write the questions as well? I have a lot of obscure Pokemon knowledge, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's necessarily that much more than other people. I was once at an event where there was a Pokemon trivia event. I had a friend with me who was like, "You're gonna get them all right." I was like, "I'll probably get like 80% of them right." I was much closer to my number than his. There were a lot of pretty specific questions there. I've completed this game before, but I did not remember this quest. Although now that I'm playing it a little bit, I do remember some things here. It's a Pichu. Who was the first Pokemon ever designed? If you're talking about the Pokemon that made it into the game, that would be Rhydon. An early conceptual design piece. We had a Pokemon in the background that very much resembled Rhydon. Not even a lot of differences between then and now. Just a fair warning, if you're going to ask me trivia, there is a pretty significant delay between when you post something and when I see it. Another interesting thing about Rhydon is that in the first Pokemon game, they had ID numbers that were different than their Pokédex numbers. And Rhydon had the very first ID number. I wonder if it's too late for the Drifloon event. Oh. Ah, okay. Probably put a couple more Pokemon in my party to evolve. Just remember that I have Beautifly and Dustox. You're the wrong person. There we are. Which Pokemon will I bring? I'm actually going to grab another Wurmple. I might as well start working on Zubat as well. Do I have... Okay. Alright, back to trying to get myself a Cherubi. might as well go for those as I make my way. Ooh, pretty strong hit. And there we have it. There's some experience for... oh. Guess I had to take this guy out too. Early on, rock-type Pokemon are a little bit of a pain. Most Pokemon start off with a lot of normal-type moves. And it just so happens that a lot of early types are not very good against the rock-ground combination. That is with the exception of grass-type, but I don't happen to have any on my team. I don't have room for the item in my satchel. Okay. Put on a button there. Craft. What can I do with what I have? I don't think that's going to be significant for making room in my satchel, so I'm going to drop some items off. Typically my approach is that I don't need most of the items that you get throughout the game actively to be in my satchel at all times. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I think that's good for now. Should give me plenty of room for gathering items. Got lucky there. Be a while before I have any significant level changes. Just gonna ignore all the Geodude. Come down here and fight a Parasite. despite how aggressive they are in this game, having a double weakness to fire is definitely beneficial for me. Struggled there for a moment. Now I'm just fighting the grass. This is why cut was invented. Grass is just too tall. Barely see my Pokemon in it. Wurmple's ready to evolve. I will get onto that shortly. Right now. So what we're looking for as it evolves is the line at the top of its eye to be straight across and not have any divots. Okay. We got the one we weren't looking for. That's okay. It does help with completing the Pokédex. It looked like it was totally fine being caught right up until I threw the Pokeball. Then it didn't want. That's just my luck. Looks like it's becoming daytime, so we're gonna lose all of our Zubat soon. I find it interesting how with Wurmple they decided to have a split evolutionary line that was very random. And there's that female Combi. Mentioned last time that only the female Combi can evolve, and their difference isn't particularly subtle. So in that case, I was able to see that it had the reddish bit from, honestly, a pretty fair distance. Most Pokemon have research that involves catching them and also fighting them. So I'm trying to do a little bit of a mix. I don't see any moving trees, which is unfortunate. Thinking I might just go ahead and move on in the story. I haven't trained too much, but let's see. On to revive my Bidoof at least, and probably swap out my my Silcoon. There are still a fair number of Pokemon that I can't get yet here, but there's also a fair number that I can, but I haven't yet. I'm just gonna start moving some Pokemon over here. Not really any plan or pattern behind what I'm moving where, but just looking at potential Pokédex completion. Yeah, there's still a long way to go. Ruby can only be found in the forests to the south. I thought that was to the north that it could be found. Well, the information on it is not exactly the easiest to find, unfortunately. There's a Pikachu. didn't want to be caught, so now he has to battle. For now, I'm off to move forward on the storyline, mostly because moving around is very slow right now. And after the next section, it becomes a little bit more convenient. Though I feel like some of my Pokemon might be a little under-leveled for this. I haven't actually done any research into what levels the different Pokemon are, so I might be over-leveled, I might be under-leveled. And this is what we call an adventure. If you know too much about what's going to happen, where's the fun? I say that as I am someone who plays the same Pokemon games multiple times. And here we are. Now you'll hear from this little cowboy. I apologize if I am butchering the names, but I will do my best. I am Leanne of the Pearl Clan, the Warden to Cleavor, Lord of the Woods. And you, I've already deduced what you're I've already deduced that you've come here to meet Cleavor, aren't I? Or, I'm right, aren't I? Of course I am. I can see it so clearly. After all, the powerful, awesome Cleavor has become more awesomely powerful. Perhaps that strange lightning the other day was Almighty Sinnoh's divine power, but whatever it was, it struck my lord and left him imbued with awesome might. So I must turn you away, even if it pains me. It's too dangerous for you to meet Cleavor right now. My options are, I'll do anything, and that's that then. In this case, I have a mission to do, so I will do anything. Oh, such earnest desire to meet mighty Cleavor. I have to admit, I'm struck by your passion. But, well, I'm afraid your passion is not the real issue here. I've been told in no uncertain terms by Irida that I am to let no one near Cleavor. I will fight you off myself if you insist. Oh. Yeah, so the area where there's the Combi and the Alpha Lapani is where I was looking um, to try to find Cherubi. I'm just taking a little detour at the moment. If you wish to avoid battle, withdraw now while you still can, or face the wrath of my Gumi. I'm not too worried about a little first stage pseudo-dragon. You don't even realize I'm turning you away for your own safety. How sad you are. Go, Gumi, and see if you can ooze some good sense over this foolish troublemaker. Hello, Ashley. This person thinks that this little slug dragon stand a chance against my party of Pokemon. He is gravely mistaken. How can this be? I may have been defeated, but my point still stands. It's too dangerous to meet Cleavor now. The only welcome you'll get if you approach him is a flurry of devastating blows. Normally, I'd simply try making him an offering. A nice heaping help of his two favorite foods, served up with respect to by his loyal warden. That's me, of course. It is usually enough to please him and soothe the prickliest of moods. But even I, Cleavor's loyal warden, can't get close enough to give an offering now. Not with the way Cleavor is rampaging and running amok. There's nothing that an outsider like you can do. The ancestors of Cleavor, Weirdeer, and their cohort drew on Almighty Sinnoh's own power to protect Pokemon and people alike, so it's said. It's by their grace that our clan, that any of us, still lives in the vast Hisui today. I always struggle with her name. Irida? Irida, what are you doing here? As you say, Cleavor's grown even stronger, but I'm afraid that strength poses a problem for us. If he was indeed struck by that lightning, could the bolt have been sent to by the false Sinnoh that the Diamond Clan bows to? Cleavor means so much to our clan. I'd hope we could bring this situation under control ourselves, not throw our hands up and ask some outsider for help. But we must save Cleavor from this frenzy. Every moment it continues, the danger grows. If more people and Pokemon are attacked, it will lead to conflict with both the Diamond Clan and the Galaxy team. You, stranger from beyond the sky, tell me, could you Galaxy people actually fix all this? Could an outsider actually find a way to quell the Lord's frenzy? I'll figure it out. I'll figure something out. Very well. Leanne and I gather food that pleased Cleavor in hopes that we might be able to get close enough to make him a proper offering. As for you, find a way to quell his frenzy, even if you must search every corner of the vast Hisui. Keep saying the, but just vast Hisui. Your arc phone beeps. A mysterious power now enables you to return to base camp in an instant. Alright. Now they teach you about fast travel, which is something that we had before. But it is still handy. Good to see you, Foxy. And how is your research into Cleavor going? Swimmingly, I expect? Oh, is that so? Now that's quite the tidbit. So, a serving of his favorite foods will normally make Cleavor quite agreeable, is that it? I need to mull over back at the laboratory. You should come along. You should come along too, dear boy. I hate to break it to you, but I'm a fox, not a deer. But it's understandable. You're new to this. Only 100 off from the next star. That's a little bit of a shame, but I also wasn't going for too much in that run. So, according to the information we were able to learn from Irida and Leanne of the Pearl Clan, were this a normal course of events, that frenzied Cleavor would be calmed by a nice serving of his two favorite foods. I do wonder, is it possible that the aromas or some other components of these foods might combine in a way that could not only calm Cleavor, but draw him back from this frenzy? But by your own report, even Cleavor's warden, who looks after Cleavor and knows him well, cannot approach him in his current state. It would be a fool's gambit to get close enough to offer him food. Give me a moment, if you would. I need some time to ponder on this. There ought to be something in my research notes that can help us. I think this is the closest thing that we get to a montage in this entire game. Eureka! We'll simply have to throw the food. You've quite the arm for throwing things, haven't you, Foxy? Might I suggest you take Cleavor's favorite food and throw them at the Pokémon? Elaborate, please? Because that doesn't make sense. Yes, it's all coming together. We can use our skill in Pokeball crafting to shape Cleavor's beloved food into balls, then throw them to achieve the same calming effect, but from afar. A brilliant idea, if I do say so myself. As for what to call these yummy projectiles, How about we call them tea time balls? Put one in your Put one in mind of a nice, relaxing afternoon tea, does it not? Why wouldn't you simply call them Laventon balls, Professor? Oh my, with that name, it sounds like I'm the one being launched at our frenzied friend. In any case, we can rely on the Pearl Clan to gather the necessary foodstuff, correct? So, from the perspective of naming something after yourself, is this suggesting that there's a person out there whose name is Poke, and that's why they're Pokeballs? Is that why they're called Pokemon? Is they're named after the Pokeballs, which are named after a professor whose name is Poke? I sure hope that doesn't become legitimate canonical lore, but it's fun to think about. Then you should get back to Grand Tree Arena and let the Pearl Clan know our plan. If you're off to Grand Tree Arena base, set out from the Heights camp, eh? Yes, thank you. You. How expensive are you? I can afford that. Within this game, this is where most of your money will end up if you plan on completing everything. But every time that you pay him to show you how to store an extra item space, he's like, if you don't learn how to put more space in that bag, then you never know. You might just not come back. It's like, well, thank you. I appreciate your confidence, but it's not satchel space that is keeping me alive at the moment. My, that Galaxy Hall is one fine building, even from the outside. The Galaxy team certainly got themselves a grand headquarters. I'll give them that. Oh, yes. I came because I had some news that I thought might be interested in. Better you actually see what's going on, though. Let's head to... what did you end up calling it? The Heights camp? Weird. Okay. I spoke to Weird Ear about what's been going on. I told him how you've been trekking all over the Fieldlands seeking to quell Cleavor's frenzy. All this for someone who's not even part of our clan or the Pearl clan. Just some wanderer who fell through a rift into this world. And hearing that, well, you can see how he responded. I trust you appreciate it. Weird Ears found you worthy, you see. Which means you'll need a flute like we have. Mind demonstrating to him, Maya? Or, not Maya. That'd be the other way around. May? This is very important, so listen well. Weird. That's a Celestia flute that May just played. It's a precious tool that can be used to call on Weirdeer so you can ride upon them. It's said that the Celestia flutes were given from Almighty Sinnoh itself, and now this one's yours. It's not that grand a gesture, really. I can't play the flute for the life of me. See if you can play that melody. This is very convenient because it turns out that's the only melody you need to know. Weirdeer opens its heart and learned well the sound of your playing. As if they didn't just use the exact same soundbite. And he gave me the mind plate. This is going to be useful at some point. Now use that Celestia flute wisely and gallop across the land with the great Weirdeer. You've got a frenzied Pokemon to quell at Grand Tree Arena, haven't you? With Weirdeer, you can gallop across the field land in no time. That is very true. You can now call Weirdeer and gallop across the land. I don't intend on using Weirdeer's amazing abilities to just immediately go popping balloons, but the game tells me I can if I want to. The shiny hunter and me will struggle to pass up any of these shaking trees because finding a shiny Burmy or any of the other Pokemon that fall from the trees are pretty rare events. Which button am I looking for? This one. Alright, let's see if we've got ourselves a Cascade this time. There we have it. Cascade. I will just leave it in my party for now, since it's not really any struggle to leave it there. Let's see if I can actually catch a Pikachu this time. There we go. Pikachu's easy enough to catch. But are amusingly aggressive in this game. Time to look for Cherubi again. No luck this time. have to keep my fingers crossed for now. I might just do a few rounds of heading back to the camp. Turning in my findings and then coming back in. Unfortunately, getting the trees to respawn new Pokemon can be a little bit of a pain, but this is an opportunity to head back to the village and get my new star level taken care of. Now that I'm rank 3, I will get access to the Great Balls. These are very handy. Having Pokemon up to level 40 obey me is also going to be very useful. But my Pokemon are a little ways off from that. Can't make any right now, but that's just because I don't have the materials on me. I have them in storage. When you have items in storage, you can craft them at these. So I'm probably going to try to use the Pokeballs I have up first and then go on to the Ultra Balls, unless I see something that is of particular interest. Like, I'm not going to take any chances if I see a shiny. With one exception, but we haven't unlocked that yet. Went to the wrong base camp. Not a big deal. I should check over here, because there's another Pokemon that's pretty rare. So I gotta orient myself here. And this is a lucky day. So Munchlax is not particularly common and you get some research for feeding them. So I'm going to just feed this guy for a little bit. I've got enough berries. Luckily, Pokemon have bottomless stomachs. They can literally eat food forever. But also, you can store them in their Pokeballs forever without any food or sunlight or water, and they're perfectly fine and happy to see you, which is unrealistic, and don't think that anything actually thrives in that situation. Though in the if you look at the manga, they could see out of the red part of the Pokeballs. And in the anime, we've seen that Pokemon are able to break out of their Pokeballs and return back in willingly. Side note, now there's a competition between this Munchlax and this Kricketot. You gotta make sure that the food's gonna land closer to the Munchlax. How many more does it need? 20. I hope you guys don't mind me sitting here feeding Munchlax for another few minutes. Although I could. Yeah. It's a little bit risky, but I guess didn't really matter there. Munchlax was one of the few Pokemon that was shown before its generation. I'm just gonna catch that. Of all the times for a Kricketot to pop out of a Pokeball. So Munchlax not only was shown before his generation, Munchlax was also the only Pokemon that was Generation 4 that was on a Game Boy Advanced game. And this was because of one of the Pokemon Rescue Team games. If I recall correctly, it was Pokemon Red Rescue Team. There's a part where you can encounter a Munchlax, which was revealed pretty early relative to its generation. Pokemon has a tendency to like to reveal Pokemon early. Though I think Togepi was probably the only one that they revealed before announcing that they were going to do the next generation. Yes, I caught the Munchlax while it was still eating. You get a little bit of a bonus if you do that. We haven't gone this route yet. Birth and make our way. Sometimes when an Abra is there, there's more than one. I didn't remember which exact spot they spawned at, so I messed that up, but there will be more Abra later. This I can. So many Dustox. Some advice for this game is whenever you're riding one of these Pokemon, you gotta be ready to quickly get off and throw a Pokeball or one of your Pokemon out in case you run into a shiny that is prone to fleeing. You gotta be a little quick on your toes. Pretty easy to accidentally miss a shiny in this game. Little bit of a behind the scenes bit of information here, but with the setup I have, I actually can't hear the game myself, so I have disadvantage in finding shinies. There is a shiny chime that you can hear when a shiny Pokemon is within a certain range of you. It is possible to spot a shiny before it's close enough to have the shiny chime go off, and it also has a little sparkle animation if you are looking at it. But I might miss one. If you guys ever end up hearing the shiny charm, not charm, but the shiny chime, you can actually let me know, and I may be able to get the Pokemon. A lot of the Pokemon here have their values set before you even go to the location. Which is a little bit of a double-edged sword. Yeah. Just checking to see if there's a ooh, they're a Magikarp. They're a little far. I could make some feather balls, but it's a Pokemon I can get easy enough later. Excuse me. Now that I have Weird Ear, it's just kind of fun. Fun to travel around and just see the world and the Pokemon. But it also doesn't really speed up the process of trying to find a Cherubi. Let's head back here. Now, around the hour mark, I'm going to call it for the stream. So, let's see if we have enough time to do a little more Cherubi hunting. There's a lot of the stuff in this game that can be held off until later, or would be, more convenient to just wait until it happens. For example, Heracross. I could go get a Heracross right now, but the only one available is a alpha one that is definitely pretty high level compared to my party. I believe it's level 40. I would have a lot of trouble being able to actually catch the thing. Meanwhile, there are other locations in the game where I will be able to get one much easier. For Cherubi, this is not exactly the case. They are notorious for being difficult to get. An interesting bit of irony, I guess this is telling a little bit of a game mechanic that hasn't started yet. But there are outbreaks in this game, and one of the outbreak options, which is pretty rare, is a Cherubi outbreak. What's interesting about it is then later on, you have what are known as massive mass outbreaks. So that is where within one area, there are a lot more outbreaks, and you can find Pokemon that aren't normally from a particular area. The outbreaks can have Cherubi, but the massive mass outbreaks cannot. So it adds even more difficulty to the challenge of getting a shiny Cherubi, which would eventually be something I'd like to do, but we'll see. It's a pretty tricky one to get. It's a lot of luck. Is that another female Combi? Need to remember to head to the right place this time. Although, there is another flying spot, but I don't think I've unlocked it. Yeah, not yet. That would be a little bit faster, but I'd still need to get into the location before I was able to go there. Just beeline this and see how many rounds I can go. Oh, there we have it. Cherubi. Honestly, I don't want to take much of a chance here. Make sure I'm hitting the right buttons. And there we go, Cherubi. I thought that was going to take a lot longer. I'm pretty happy with this. That was the goal that I had for today, was to get a Cherubi. Let's head back to the Heights camp here. And I am going to put Cherubi on my team and move it right up here. And the reason for that is, let's see, where's it? We are adding Cherubi to our team list. I don't normally use Pokemon like Cherubi, but I went through and I picked a team that I don't usually use. I thought would be fun to do. So now that I have Cherubi, I'm going to stepped into the water. Hello. Oh. I just got the second Pokemon for my main team. And I'm coming over here to get some new Pokemon. Gotta be careful here, because there is a Alpha Snorlax, which is easiest to get away from once you have Weird Ear, or if you want to, you could catch it. But on my radar, I've got a few other options. There's one of them. That's a Kadabra there and an Abra there. Excuse me, sir, or madam. Sir. I was in the middle of doing something, and interrupting me with that attack was very rude and ungentlemanlike. Ouch. Well, let's send out Cherubi. I may not have an advantage with any of my types, but I do resist electric. Plus having a move that damages and heals is pretty nice. Now it's time to see if I can get close enough to catch an Abra. Pretty careful here, because they like to teleport away if they see or notice you at all. Might as well throw a Pokeball at that. Alright, I caught a Kadabra. Those were the tricky ones, so get those out of the way. I don't have to be as careful. And there's Mr. Mime. Hoping. Aha. Mime Jr. is a lot easier to catch, and then I can just level it up and evolve it. Doesn't want to stay in the Pokeball though. There we go. And the only one left is Shellos. And easy enough catch, even if it pops out. Oh. Okay. We're actually going to have a little bit of a battle with this one, apparently. You. Berry. Eat berry. Oh, okay. I'm surprised that some of these are catching as easy as they are. On that note, we can evolve Bidoof. We're just going from one thing to the next, all right near the end of this stream. Just use the rest of these Shellos for experience. One more should do it. Pretty solid Shellos though. Okay. I was a little bit worried because of the accuracy drop, but well, the yeah. Turns out it was not an issue. A little bit risky, but I'm gonna. Let's just run away. Oh. Nah. I don't think you're worth fighting. Might see if I could catch one of those. That would be easier than... Okay, cool. They're kind of a pain because of the walls that they have. I'm not gonna try for the Alpha Alakazam that's just floating there. I will see if there's any Magikarp nearby here. I don't remember if Magikarp can be found in that particular spot, but oftentimes there's a Gyarados flying around overhead. Looks like it's Staraptor right now, though. Just gonna make my way back to one of the base camps. And I'm doing this in the off chance of seeing a shiny. After that, I'm gonna wrap things up. Bye, Snorlax. Bye, Snorlax. Oh. He wasn't ready to say goodbye yet. Now, there is a chance of a Pichu being over here. No, I don't see one. I'm not planning on going further down any of the side paths. Not right now, at least. Alright. Let's take a look at my Pokemon. All of them new. Should be a decent haul there, yeah. Almost 4,000. I got a few Pokédexes that are completed. Although completed doesn't mean fully completed. Just has to be enough to get 10 points effectively. The ones that have the double arrows, there are multiple ones. Oh, it's hard. Is it hard to hear me over the game? Uh-huh. Well, we're at the end of my stream now, so I can't... I don't know if I can make decent adjustments yet, but I will get that fixed before the next streaming session. Alright, I'm going to return to the village, and we are going to call it here. I thank you all for joining me, and we can continue on with the story next week. I am excited that we are starting to fill out the team. Yeah, this has been a lot of fun, and I plan on continuing. So, see you all next week.